Hello, we are back again with Report to the Principal's Office by Jerry Spinelli. And we left off on chapter 15 where Salem and Eddie are together at Salem's house for the big meeting. And so far, they're the only two that have showed up. And Salem is not too happy with Eddie and his making fun of her Grey Poupon. So let's see, we are in chapter 16 now. Let's see if anybody else shows up to her party. All right. Salem glared at Eddie for a while, but he just went on blissfully chomping. She picked a piece of broccoli from the cold vegetable dish and scooped up some dip. You should try this. He nodded and reached for another pig. Then he reached for the mince. Mints are for afterwards, she told him. They're the last thing you eat. Eddie looked at her, looked at the mints in his hand. He started to put them back. She stopped him. Oh, never mind. Go ahead. He didn't argue. Eddie's crystal cup was almost full. What did you think of the punch? She asked him. He chewed for a second. He nodded. Good. I call it periwinkle punch. I just kind of like the way it sounds. Do you? Eddie had been scanning the toothpicks for the plumpest pig. What was it? He asked, making his choice. Periwinkle. He dipped the pig into the French's yellow mustard, clamped it respectfully in his teeth, and drew it from the toothpick. Yeah, neat. Want to know what goes in it? He nodded, chewing. He really likes those pigs, Salem thought. Well, I can't tell you exactly what goes into it, because that's the chef's secret, me being the chef. But I can tell you there are 5 different kinds of fruit juice and 2 kinds of soda, plus the sherbet. I'll let you guess what kinds of sherbet it is. Eddie popped a pepperoni slice into his mouth. Rainbow. That's right. Salem sunk a carrot into the dip. But don't even try to guess what the other ingredients are. I won't. Because I wouldn't tell you if you were right. Anyway, you know why? Eddie made a sandwich of 2 potato chips and a pepperoni slice. Nope. Mystery, she said. Mystery is the hidden ingredient. It's probably one of the reasons you like it so much. Mystery is supposed to make things appealing because people are attracted to things they don't understand. You ever noticed that? Eddie nodded, munching. Salem chewed on a broccoli stalk, thinking, yeah, me too. Like when this kid came to my house last Halloween, I was already in for the night. So I answered the door, and there was the neatest costume I'd ever seen. I mean, I didn't have the foggiest idea what he was supposed to be. I didn't even know if it was a he. All I knew was I was fascinated by the costume. Probably because it wasn't like any other costume I ever saw. And then the person took off the mask. And it was Donald, my cousin from up the street. Zap! She waved a carrot stick. Fascination gone. She ladled herself some more punch. Come on, drink up, before I guzzle it all. His punch was still riding high in his cup. You sure like it. Said Eddie. Well, how come you're not drinking it? Eddie stopped chewing. He stared at her. He blinked. He stared at the cup. He picked up the cup. He looked into the cup. He raised the cup to his lip, closed his eyes, and drank it down in 3 fast, rather noisy swallows. He put the cup down. He couldn't seem to stop looking at it. Salem started to giggle. "What?" he said. "You have a rainbow sherbet mustache." While he wiped away his mustache, Salem laid him another cupful of periwinkle punch. "So, anyway," she went on, "where was I?" She crunched a carrot stick. "Oh, yeah, mystery. So, sometimes I read grown-up books and magazine stories, so I can get a little preview of what I'm going to be reading when I'm in my 20s. And you know what one of the most mysterious things around is? You want to guess?" Eddie scooped out the last of the onion dip with the last potato chip. Black holes?" "No, women." She studied his face for a reaction, but all she found was a mouth devouring another pig in a blanket. "Yep, women. Of course. We're not mysterious to ourselves. We're only mysterious to men. Men have a hard time figuring us out." She cut the triangular tip off the wedge of brie. She worked the soft, almost gooey cheese in her mouth and closed her eyes, trying to glimpse a hint of mystery within herself. She opened her eyes, tilted her head. "Do you think I'm mysterious?" Eddie looked at her. His face was a total blank. Had he continued to look at her for 1,000 years, his face would still have been a total blank. "Never thought about it," he said at last. Salem pulled up the hem of the pale yellow tablecloth till it covered her face below the eyes. "How about now?" Eddie looked again. He shrugged. "A little, I guess." "You sure you're not just saying it?" She kept the veil up. He picked a pig. "No, really." "What exactly is it?" she persisted. "My eyes." She leaned towards him, opened her eyes as wide as she could. If Eddie hadn't known better, he would have thought she was seeing a ghost. "When you look into them, do you feel yourself being drawn into an eternal mysteries of the female? Do you feel yourself falling into a bottomless void?" He looked as directly as he could into her eyeballs. It was a little hard to focus, she being so close. The pig slid silently from its toothpick into his mouth. He nodded. "Uh-huh," then burped. Burp. A small wind of pepperoni, mustard, hot dog, onion, potato chip, and mint blew through the pale yellow veil. Salem backed into her chair and dropped the tablecloth. She did not have her notepad at hand, but she made a mental note on the many personalities of Eddie Mott. A glutton. That means someone who eats a whole lot. The mints were now as gone as the chips and dip. 3 pepperonis lay on their plate like beefy $half. The last of the pigs in a blanket was disappearing into Eddie's own bottomless void. His cup was full. "You hate the punch," she said. His head snapped towards her. "No, really, I like it. All that stuff makes people thirsty. You should have drunk most of the bowl by now." "I drank a lot before I came over today, that's all." She got up. "I'll get you something you'll like. A nice old-fashioned Coke." "No!" he called, but she was already in the kitchen. She returned with the glassful. She set it in front of him. "Classic. Only the best." He looked at it for a moment, then pushed it away. "Really," he said. "Look." He grabbed the punch cup and downed it straight away. He wiped off his sherbet mustache and sucked it from his finger as he would a taffy. He closed his eyes and smiled. Salem slumped onto her chair, not sure if she had just won or lost. The two talked for almost another hour. By the time Eddie left, most of the pickles were gone. Salem was cleaning up the table when she happened to glance at the printed program. She gave the floor a crystal tinkling stomp. Drat! They, or at least she, had talked about everything but what they were supposed to talk about. A mascot for Plumstead. Not wanting to be a pest, Salem waited until 7 that evening to give Eddie a call. They could discuss it for 5 minutes over the phone. Then at least they'd have something to report to Mr. Brimlow. A woman's voice answered. Pleasant. Hello, Mrs. Mott? Yes, this is Salem Brownmiller, Eddie's friend. He was over at my house this afternoon. Oh, yes. How are you, Salem? Fine, thank you. I was wondering if I could speak with Eddie. There was a short delay before Mrs. Mott answered. Oh, I'm sorry, Salem. Eddie's in bed. I'm afraid he's not feeling too well. I wonder why he's not feeling too well. Do you think it could be that he ate so much? Well, nobody else showed up. It was just Salem and Eddie. Eddie ate everything, and now Eddie doesn't feel good. Well, I'm excited to see what's going to happen in 17. Maybe they'll let Salem know why they did not show up. See you in 17. Bye.